Alright, so today we have a Barrow-Dyad build with Radiant Dance Machines. No, they are no longer the meme exotic they were in Destiny 1. They are really good. Basically, we're going to be dancing, right? Moderately increases airborne effectiveness and hipfire, mobility, range, and accuracy for weapons that use primary ammo. Final blows with primary ammo weapons can return dodge energy, which can overflow to create additional charges when full. So yeah, you're going to have a lot of dodges, and we'll get into how we're going to effectively use that with Barrow-Dyad. Barrow-Dyad is a fun weapon, and by the way, as of this recording, the full quest is not unlocked, and I would recommend putting One for All on this because it's pretty straightforward, especially because I've taken Divergence. Hitting 3 different targets generates a large amount of Blight. Blight Seekers bore through targets. Basically, they're like armor-piercing rounds, and they do a decent amount of damage to trash mobs, but generally speaking, that's the best place you're going to use them is in a large enemy wave, essentially. And then, of course, we have the intrinsic trait Panic Response. This weapon generates Blight as it deals damage. While not firing, Blight depletes, and the magazine is gradually refilled. Reload the weapon to convert stored Blight into Blight Seekers. And of course, the quickest way you want to make that Blight is by hitting 3 separate targets no matter what, because it will just generate so much Blight. And once you generate Blight, it kind of works differently from other reload stuff. You can actually proc your Blight Seekers with Marksman's Dodge, which is why we have Radiant Dance Machines, because when you kill stuff with your weapon, you're going to get a dodge. You're going to dodge to reload and then fire your Blight Seekers. That is probably the simplest way I can describe this build, but to get a little bit more in depth, we'll go into our aspects here. Threaded Spectre to give you a little bit of cover because you are going to be up close against enemies, so you will sometimes need a get out of jail free card. The decoy isn't the best in the world, but it's pretty good at pulling aggro off of you, and you might need that, right? And we have Winter's Shroud. We only have the 2 ways to slow, which is dodging near targets, as well as our Withering Blade, but this is just a quick way to get that base charge back. That way you can build up the 2nd and 3rd charges of your dodge with Radiant Dance Machines and just go crazy, essentially. Now, some of these fragments are changeable here, but these are the ones that I would recommend running. Facet of Dawn, just to get that extra boost from Radiant. You have Facet of Bravery, so that when you defeat targets with those melees, you get Unraveling Rounds for your Barrow-Dyad and whatever other strand weapon you might be using. Picking up Orbs, because we'll be making a lot of Orbs with this, will grant you Woven Mail if you're using Silk Strike like I am. Generally, I would recommend Silk Strike or Silence and Squall for PvE. Tether is also a really good option. Really just depends on what you want to use. So that isn't too much of a big deal, honestly, for this build. Facet of Sacrifice. We will have Radiant up quite a bit, so you'll be getting some bonus Darkness Transcendence energy when you have that buff active. Facet of Solitude is a very fun fragment to have on for this build, because you will be hitting precision shots with Barrow-Dyad, or at least you should be. I know sometimes I miss my shots, you'll probably see in the gameplay I have coming up, but with rapid precision hits, you will emit a Severing Blast, which is really strong. There's a lot of strand artifact mods this season in Heresy. If you're watching this video during Heresy, then I will show a few of them in a little bit, just so you can slap those on as well. If not, this build should still be very strong outside of Heresy. And then Facet of Protection, because we are going to be pretty close to other enemies, and we're going to be surrounded quite a bit since we're using an SMG. So having this extra protection is very nice. As for armor mods, you can pause here and apply if you like. Just remember your resist mods are going to be based on what you are doing. We have 2 siphons on here. You don't necessarily need that dynamo because we will be dodging near enemies quite a bit. Strand loader, because Barrow-Dyad's base reload is not that great. However, if you want to make some extra orbs, you can do heavy-handed, because we are using grapple with this build, so your grapple melee will count for proccing heavy-handed as well as your Withering Blades. If you want to play into that a little bit more, because you should always have a dodge up anyways, you don't necessarily need to have a strand loader. And then for your boots, Insulation to get a little bit extra dodge back if you need it. Recuperation, you could go double recuperation because you should have your dodge on all the time. This is just a nice way to keep you and your health up, because this build does, if anything, lack consistent healing. And then strand weapon surge for a little extra damage. And then I might have initially had 2 utility kickstarts on, but you definitely want a powerful attraction one utility kickstart and outreach, or you could do double powerful attraction, whatever you think is best here, but at least have one powerful attraction on one utility kickstart, and then the rest is up to you for that. And yeah, I'll show some gameplay. Listen, I'll give my excuse for the deaths in this gameplay, but yeah, I had just woken up when I recorded it, so you know, I wasn't making the best decisions, I'll admit that. And the gameplay is always just to showcase the build. I think it does a pretty good job of that, not to show you that I can do every lost sector flawlessly, because listen, I make mistakes, I'm not the best player. But yeah, let me know what you think of the gameplay and the build. This is definitely a very unique and fun build. It's weapon focused for the most part, with your abilities just adding some extra synergy and a little bit of icing on top. And, you know, I remember Radiant Dance Machines as a meme exotic when the Dark Below initially came out, and there was that live action, or not really live action trailer, but there was a trailer and the guy was dancing, and everyone just made a meme out of it. And for the most part, yeah, they've been okay. There was like a PvP build with it a while ago, but this is definitely the most fun I've had with Radiant Dance Machines probably ever. So yeah, enjoy the gameplay, laugh at me while I'm dying in an expert lost sector, and I'll see you guys in the next one.